Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken af een jam.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertut.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Hello again.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 25 of American Jew. We're a quarter now, everybody.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. And we are celebrating a little bit today because today is the 30-year anniversary of Paul's Boutique.
Oh, yeah. Beastie Boys, baby.
Huge Beastie Boy fans. Love Beastie Boys to death. 30 years ago, Paul's Boutique came out. It was not a success. It was a commercial disaster. It sold very few albums, especially coming off of License to Ill, which was like on the top of the Billboard charts.
Right. I mean,
think
that's
it was like
License to Ill is basically their seminal album, right? That's the one that everybody had.
that was the first album.
Right.
That was what made them popular. And then they left Rick Rubin and they moved to California. They left New York. They moved to California. They teamed up with the Dust Brothers, Capitol Records. They made Paul's Boutique. People did not like it at the time. But now it is one of the most influential hip-hop albums of all times. People refer to it as the Sgt. Peppers of hip-hop, of the Pet Sounds of hip-hop, the way they had all the samplings of different songs. The musical genius that is the Beastie Boys really came through after their more kind of like frat boy antics, fight for your right to party girls from the first album.
I think it's ironic that as soon as they came out with, right after they came out with No Sleep Till Brooklyn, the entire country kind of slept on their second album.
Yeah, that's true. They did kind of do that. But
now,
it was so ahead of their time, people could not appreciate it then.
Right.
But fast forward all these years later, and people are obsessed with that album. I had the cassette.
You're woke now about it.
Everybody is woke now about it. I mean, I've been woke about it for a while. I had the cassette in high school, a cassette. That's
right.
how old I am. And I had a tape deck in my car. I had a red Mustang convertible.
You had to put a pencil in there to re-spool
I did not
it?
have to do that. And I basically, that cassette lived in my car like permanently.
Permanently.
And I would just always, that was the only cassette I think I had in my car, and I would just play that over and over again. I love it. 3 Minute Rule, my favorite song on the album. Amazing album. They're commemorating it with a pair of Adidas Beastie Boy shoes today. I called around. I wanted to get them, but I could not figure out who was selling them. And I noticed that online they went on sale today. They're already selling for $500.
Can't they just commemorate by reissuing the album, like give a disc? Like, why does it have to be tied into merch from another company?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think it's tied into merch for another company, but I think there's this art exhibit going on in Brooklyn, and it has some ties to the Beastie Boy about graffiti and hip-hop, and they announced there that they were going to have this release of this shoe to celebrate the 30 years, and I just think it's something cool that they're doing. I mean, I have no ill will about it. I don't think it's like a cash grab or anything.
Do you think they're going to be ties into Judaism there? Do you think there's going to be rabbis and they're going to do some prayers?
Wearing the shoes?
Wearing the shoe. I'm just saying, if you're going to, are they going to...
I don't think it's going to have anything more to do with Judaism than they are Jewish.
Do you think the Hasids are going to be able to wear the shoes?
No.
No.
I don't think they'll be wearing the shoes.
No.
I don't think there'll be any Hasids in the shoes.
The Hasids don't shop at Paul's Boutique.
No, there is no actual real Paul's Boutique. They created the facade in the Lower East Side where you can still go to. There's a Beastie Boy mural. You could check it out on my Instagram page at Jonathan Randall. And they pretended that was the store Paul's Boutique. Of course, on the album they go, hey, we're Paul's Boutique and we're in Brooklyn. But there really was no Paul's Boutique ever. It was just created for the photograph for the album cover.
All right.
But I love the Beastie Boys. 30 years. R.I.P. MCA, we miss you, brother, and Beastie Boys forever.
Yeah, it's nice to know that the Jews will have made some of the best rap in history.
Yes, the Jews did make one of the most influential rap albums of all time, Paul's Boutique. Happy birthday, Paul.
L'chaim to Paul.
Well, from good Jewish news to bad Jewish news, Israel is at it again. Oy vey.
Who knew that we had so many Jews that were in construction?
Right? Just like Jesus, he was a carpenter, and the Jews are still, might not be building stuff, but we sure are tearing it down right outside of Jerusalem on the West Bank. Earlier this week,
Bulldozing.
Israel, they cut through the fence that they had built there, went into the Palestine territory, bulldozed, blew up, tore down a bunch of apartment buildings where some Palestinians were already living, some that were being built, and they totally tore them down. They're saying they're too close to the border and it's a security risk, even though people had licenses from Palestine to build there. They're totally legal. You know, lots of different countries, the UN, are saying, Israel, what are you doing? Once again, I don't understand why Israel is poking the bear that is Palestine, and then Israel wants to say, oh, they all want to kill us. They want to bomb us. It's unsafe. Yeah, it's unsafe because you keep fucking with them and their livelihoods and their homes and their people and not treating them like human beings. I don't understand. When we were in Germany and Poland and the Nazis were doing the same thing to us and kicking us out of our houses and putting us in ghettos, we weren't too happy about it. How are we doing that thing right now to other people?
It is kind of crazy that that it's this far into some of that stuff happening that we're trying to apparently renegotiate the land lease for that space. Like we told them you can build here, and they're like, actually no, we're gonna whatever you just build, we're tearing it down.
Well, that's the Palestinian land. It's not on Israeli land. They're just saying it's too close to the border, and a lot of Palestinians are afraid because they're saying Israel's trying to set the precedent to get more land, and they're going to be tearing down any houses along the border that they deem too close, and they wanted to do these ones because now they're going to use that to justify them doing more.
I think it's just really ironic that we spend all this time on these podcasts talking about how much the Jews have been kicked out of every fucking place we've been to. We've been marginalized. We've been kicked out of our homes. We've had all of our values trampled on and dismissed. And now we're turning around and doing this exact same thing to another whole group of people without really looking at the implications of what it has done to us as a people.
We not only should we be learning from our mistakes in the past, but from others' mistakes in the past. And it's so crazy that we were given the state of Israel because of basically what happened during World War II, and that became the Jewish state. And now we're kind of treating other people so horribly and inflicting upon them what was inflicted upon us. And it's absolutely insane. And then it's insane that like we want to be like, why do all the Palestinians hate us and want to kill us? Which isn't even true, but is a narrative that Israel and a lot of Jews want to go, that all Palestinians hate us and want to kill us. They don't, by the way. It's just a small fraction of them that want to do that. But, you know, of course, more and more of them want to do that when we're pulling shit like this, when we're bulldozing houses, and we're making people, they have no place to live, they have no place to go. It's why? Why can't we try to spread peace? Why can't we try to make it work? Why can't we set an example and have our arms open instead of throwing jabs and punches? You know, it's horrible, and I'm against this that Israel has done. That doesn't make me an anti-Semite and hate all Jews. But, you know, speaking of this is like a new thing that is happening now where, you know, the older generations were very, very, you know, strongly felt that, you know, if you were against Israel, you were against Judaism. But the younger generations that are coming up, the young Jews, the cultural Jews, the American Jews, do not feel that way, and they feel that they could be, you know, anti the Zionist movement. They could be anti things that Israel has done or is doing, but it doesn't mean they're not proud to be Jewish. They don't love Judaism. They don't see its value both culturally and spiritually, but you could still say, you know, a spade is a spade, and what Israel is doing is wrong. And Israel is a country. It's not like this religious entity.
Well, I think it relates to the next thing that we want to talk about, which is that there was the Pew Research Institute came out with a new study that said that Jews and people that are atheists, people that are not religious, have a better understanding of all of the religions and and some of their teachings than the people who are really staunchly religious. I feel like when you're in that religious bubble, you don't have an understanding or even a knowledge of the people that you're talking of other thought processes, you know?
Right. Yeah. They did this research study.
Well, so, I mean,
and they asked a bunch of people different questions about religion.
But it comes back to, like, if you think about the Jews in Israel that are really staunchly against the Palestinian people for what is clearly no real good reason, it's because they're so in a bubble. They are in their own religious bubble, and they've been indoctrinated into believing that violence is coming from the Palestinian side, and that's why that's what I look at it as.
Right.
You know,
I mean, violence begets violence. We
Right.
see that in the Bible almost every week when we're talking about the Torah portion, and we are, seeing it happen right now. The more we take from the Palestinian people, the more hatred they have from Israel.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say I feel like most of the people that you see spouting anti-Semitism or talking badly about the Jews, the more you say that kind of stuff, the more it just makes me believe that you don't know or have any Jews in your lives. Like, you don't know people that are actually Jewish that you can have a discussion with. You just label them as a thing and, like, I'm not going to deal with that person. But you're not open to any conversation or any ideas that they might share that might be beneficial or that might be similar or that might be just humanistic.
One thing that came from this study was that people think there's so many more Jews than there are, especially in America. American Jews only make up 5% of the population. And in the study, people said they all like Jews and they want to learn more about Jews, but they didn't know some simple Jewish facts. But Jews know so much about other religions and even atheists. And I think, that is kind of funny that people that believe so strongly in something and chastise other people are ignorant towards them.
Yeah.
I feel like I know a bunch about religions. As a Jewish person growing up, I was interested in learning more and having more knowledge because I feel like how could you be against something without really knowing about it? And I consider myself more of an agnostic, obviously culturally Jewish, but I feel like I came to that conclusion after learning about all the different religions and realizing that, like, they're all bullshit.
I think it's kind of interesting that people overestimate the number of Jews that there are. It's like, well, there's only 5%, but for you, 25.
Yeah, but they think we're everywhere. Well, Jews do good work. We're strong and we're powerful and we're amazing. And keep being Jewish, but, say something. If you don't believe that people are doing something right, it doesn't mean that, you could be anti-Israel and not be anti-Semitic, and this is something that we really need to get out into the universe and that people need to believe and need to accept, and we need to start telling Israel, like, hey, you can't pull this shit and you can't be treating these people bad and then hide behind this, oh, you hate all Jews if you have a problem with what we're doing. Like, that's bullshit, and that's creating actually more hatred towards Judaism than there actually should be.
I mean, that's why I think it's important that we talk about the Parsha every week, that we actually learn a little bit more about Judaism, even when it's really dry stuff, like even when it's kind of boring.
Like this week's portion is kind of boring. It's called Pinchas, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Pinchas last week. Shout out to my friend Penny. I'm still calling you Penny.
Yeah.
Pinchas, he killed this guy. They was bringing a girl into the tent that wasn't Jewish. Now he gets rewarded for it.
Gets rewarded.
He's Aaron's grandson. He's going to get the priesthood. So that's happening, and then I guess they're doing another consensus of all the Jews because they're going to decide which Jews get which land.
It's like the firstborn son gets all the land, and then they were saying, well, if you don't have a son, it'll go to your brothers. But the daughters were like, hey, what about us?
Right, there are these 4 daughters of some dude, and he didn't have any sons. And they're like, hey, what? Like, we should get this. We should get it. Our dad traveled, left Egypt with you guys and traveled throughout the desert, and he didn't have any sons. But why should we be punished, us daughters? And God thought about it. He said, yeah, go feminism. You don't need to burn your bras. You could have this land. And he gave it to them. And then I guess Moses passes on the torch to who's going to be taking over for him and lead the Jews into the land of Israel, which we're still fighting over because he's been banned from Israel because of the whole rock incident, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. And then it just kind of goes into what kind of sacrifices we should make for God for the different holidays, right?
Right. I feel like almost every one of these parshas has like this little addendum. It's like, all right, well, this week we did this and that, but also don't forget, there's burnt offerings to be made every week. You have to,
Yeah, don't forget that I'm going to need something on Shabbat. I'm going to need something for the first of the month, Rosh Chodesh, and for something on Passover and Shavuot and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and all the holidays.
the offerings and the rules that are in every parsha, it's just like, ugh. And again with this, can't we put this in the appendix or the Biblia?
I just wish it was more exciting. You know, last week we had talking donkeys. The week before we had snakes and water from rocks. And then this week it's just back to, I want you guys to murder this so I could feel good about being God. I don't even. That doesn't make any sense. Poor Moses. You know, but I think you almost get the sense that in this Moses is like over it. He's like, all right, Joshua, just take over. I'm done with this crap already. I don't even get to go to Israel.
Yeah, who can I pass this torch to? That's really
right.
Is it going to go to one of my sons or one of my daughters?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
maybe. Maybe the torch could be
Well, no, they didn't have that, but maybe that would have been nice if one of his daughters had said, hey, forget Joshua, pass it to me. But I don't know. Was Joshua his son? I don't even know.
Let's see. It's Aaron's grandson, Pinchas, who's...
Pinchas is Aaron's grandson, right?
Right. And Moses empowers Joshua to succeed him. I forget who Joshua comes from.
Hey, whoever Joshua is, take over from Moses. Moses had a good run. Moses did a lot. Thank you, Moses, for all you did for us.
I just think that's interesting.
Moses is a lot Jewier name, I always thought, than Josh.
Well, I mean...
I guess Josh is pretty Jewish.
But as a name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Moses is, I would say, you don't run into too many Moseses.
Right.
Moses-ese.
A lot of Joshes.
A lot of Joshes.
When people say I'm just joshing around when they're just joking around.
Yeah, exactly. It might be the only Jewish name that's also a verb.
Well, someone told me recently that Jonathan's a very Jewish name. I'm like, is it? I don't think it is that Jewish. They were convinced it was. I
think I know a fair number of Jonathans that are Jewish, but
right,
I know a lot of Jonathans that are not.
It means, according to the Bible, it means gift from God.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, I learned a lot this week. I got to say.
Did you?
I mean, I learned that those Adidas shoes are sold out already.
Isn't that like I really wanted to get those shoes. I don't know what's wrong with me.
You know what?
I don't care about shoes. I don't care about anything. I'm like, the shoes say Beastie Boys on the tongue.
I could roll up a big fat blunt and offer up a burnt offering at Paul's boutique.
Hey, that sounds like a plan to me. Maybe we should do that later tonight. Check us out on social media at American Jew Podcast on everything but Twitter. We're just American Jew Pod. Once again, I'm at Jonathan Randall on Instagram.
I am at Beatnik Nudnik.
Email us if you want to. AmericanJewPodcast@gmail.com.
And who knows what kind of burnt offerings we're going to have next week. I haven't even looked and seen.
But we hope you'll tune in to find out.
Thank you guys for listening.
25 is done.
Is anything okay?